Hi Taurus, welcome to your November 2020 reading. Thank you for joining me. My name's Amanda. I'm at LunaSync Tarot. If this reading resonates with you, please hit the like button so that it can circulate amongst others. And consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you here. Also, leave a comment below. I'm always interested in how these readings resonate, what's actually going on for you. So if you feel called, leave a comment below. All right, so I've pre-shuffled your cards here. I'm going to do a few final shuffles. We're going to be looking into your heart, your mind, and your body, and your past, your present, and your future. We'll pull a card of guidance or advice, and we'll clarify these cards all the way through. So let's sync up. I'm going to split the deck 3 ways. All right. In the position of your heart, we have the 8 of Swords. In the position of your mind, we have the 7 of Cups. In the position of your body, or the foundation of your reading, we have the 4 of Discs. In the position of the past, we have the Priestess of Wands. Sweet. In the position of the future, we have another 7, a 7 of Wands. We have 2 7s and 1 8. There's some sort of progression happening here for you. In the position of your heart, or the present moment, we have the 8 of Swords. So this is a card of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, essentially. And the thing that you're doing, the action that you're taking, is not appropriate for what you're attempting to accomplish. So look at how this woman is stabbing this brick wall with a sword. Not the greatest tool to get out of this confinement, right? And these crows above here are watching her and sort of laughing at her folly. And sort of this objective perspective of like, this is silly, this is ridiculous, what are you doing? She has all of these swords behind her that she's preparing to use. She's still trying to get out of this confinement. And then she has all of these swords in front of her that are broken. It's very clear that the action that she's engaged in is not useful to her, is not working. So in the traditional deck, this is a card of really feeling bound and confined and trapped by your anxieties, by your fears. It's illusory, this confinement. It doesn't actually exist, but it feels very real. So in your heart and your present moment in November, you're feeling a little bit trapped by illusion, trapped by your mind, your thinking. It's sort of a limited belief system, limited perspective, something to keep in mind. Not seeing the whole picture, not seeing the picture clearly. In the position of your mind, you have the 7 of Cups. You might be overwhelmed with a lot of different choices that you have, or a lot of different options around you. Really feeling like, I have a lot of options. I'm not sure which choice to make. I'm not sure which option to pursue. This could also be just a feeling of being very busy, having a lot to consider. In this cup, or in this card though, we see the 1 cup of truth and purity and love that hopefully this woman will make, right? And from this cup falls into all of these other cups. So there's a call to focus your energy on this 1 cup that will eventually flow into all other options, into all other cups. It could be that you feel like all of them are good options. All of them are, it could be responsibilities. They're all in your field, in your house. They're all things to take care of. And once you focus on the one thing, then all of the other cups start to fill up and you start to, clarify. This is in the position of your mind. Having a lot of options, having a lot of choices, maybe feeling overwhelmed. Again, this card here, the 7 of Cups, can also be about illusion. So we have 2 cards that speak to illusion. So this one feeling bound by your fears and your anxieties, feeling very constrained, feeling restricted or limited. And it's happening on the mental plane. It's in your heart, but it's illusion. You're not actually bound. This woman could probably easily use these swords to jump over, to climb over this wall. Instead, she chooses to stab the wall. So engaging in some sort of activity or action that's not beneficial to you and doesn't make the most sense. And then illusions around which cup to choose. All of the cups in the traditional deck are filled with all kinds of sort of illusory options. So yeah, in the heart and the mind, 2 cards that speak to illusion, constraint, limitation, restriction, overwhelm, choices. In the position of your body or your foundation, we have the 4 of discs. What needs to happen here is a creation of a space where you can get very grounded and very clear. That is what this woman is doing in this picture. She's about to engage in some sort of ritual or ceremony that has to do with deciding who comes in and who stays out, creating a boundary around herself and her energy. That's in the position of your body and the foundation of the reading. In the past, we have the Priestess of Wands. Ooh, really stepping into your fiery, passionate, creative energy and using that to attract people, attract what it is that you want, working with others to manifest what it is that you want, to build what it is that you want. This is a very skilled networker, right? This has to do with the libido and sexuality and, you know, that Kundalini energy. That's in the recent past. That could be you in that energy, or it could be somebody around you that is bringing that energy to you. Let's read the progression of past to future. That was in the past, the Priestess of Wands, what we just talked about. In the present is the 8 of Swords, feeling constrained, limited, restricted. And then in the future, we have another card of the Wands, a 7 of Wands. Really standing up for what you believe in. People are going to test you. You're being tested with a lot of diverse opinions. You're in a position of leadership and having to stand up for what you know to be true. Speaking truth to power. See how she has fire coming out of her mouth? This is sort of a friendly competition. It's not violent. It's not aggressive. It's just a lot of people invested in something, wanting to share their opinion, feeling passionate about it, and you're sort of the ringleader or the leader of sorts of this conglomeration of diverse opinions that you really have to stand up and speak your truth to. You're kind of creating a container around this diversity. It's a testing of your leadership abilities in the future. So this is really the progression of November. In the past, the Priestess of Wands, really stepping into your passionate, fiery leadership abilities, networking, working with others to make something happen. In the present, feeling limited and restricted, like, you know, I keep doing this thing, but it's not working. And almost limited by the action itself. Like, I feel compelled to keep doing this thing, but it's not actually working, and I'm not quite sure how to make it work or how to solve this dilemma I'm in. And I need to take an objective perspective. You know, the crows here can see from on high what she's doing, and they can see the folly in it. So really needing to separate yourself from this action in order to come up with a different solution, essentially. And then leading, like really putting into play this energy here in the past and acting it out with others. This is the implementation of this energy in the future, in the near future. All right, let's clarify some cards. What is this 8 of Swords in the present moment and in the position of the heart about for you, Taurus, in November? What is this action that you're engaging in that's not quite working? What is this limited or limiting belief that is playing out? Whoa, that's way too many. In your heart in November. I want just 1 or 2 cards to clarify the 8 of Swords, please. So in the foundation here, of course, we have two cards clarifying. We have the Knight of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands again. We have the Seven of Wands in the near future. So the Knight of Pentacles, slow moving, methodical, really thinking about things, thinking about your course of action. The course of action is very slow. It's almost sometimes stagnant, right? Being offered an opportunity here, but feeling, I'm going to say almost skeptical of it. Look how he's holding this pentacle and looking at it. Not skeptical, but just very thoughtful about it. This might be the energy needed to step back and reassess your action thus far. And then we have again the Seven of Wands. There is something to do around this, how you feel. Seven of Wands, Seven of Wands. How you feel about this action. This might be the dilemma. This might be the thing that you feel constrained and restricted and confined around. Like, how do I step into this leadership role, and how do I corral all of these diverse opinions? It's a card of defense. How do I maintain my integrity? How do I maintain, or how do I protect my truth? How do I defend my truth? How do I defend what I know is real and true and maintain my integrity while speaking my truth? And also being receptive to diverse opinions. That's a trick, right? That's a real skill. So that might be the dilemma here in the position of your heart, the Eight of Swords. The thing that you're like, you know, I've done this one way in the past and it hasn't worked. So how do I do this thing that I just described more effectively? And really taking a look at it. Methodical, thoughtful approach to this dilemma. All right. Let's clarify. Let's clarify the Four of Discs. This is in the position of your body and also in the position of the foundation of the reading. I get a sense that this is what needs to happen. It's more of this energy, right? More of this energy. Setting your boundaries, decide who comes in and who stays out. Engaging in some sort of thoughtful ceremony or ritual so that you can really clarify how to move forward with this and problem solve. This is really, feels like a problem solving that's happening here in November for you around leadership, speaking your truth. Ooh, yeah. So the World, you will be successful in this. This is a completion from one phase of your development to another. This is a victory. This is achievement. This is a coalescing of everything that you've learned, a distilling of all knowledge into wisdom in order to move on to the next phase of development, next leveling it. Right? So that's what is needed in order to achieve this victory, in order to problem solve, in order to solve this problem. Right? There's a victory here, an achievement here, but there's a process that you have to engage in, and it's a slowing down process. It's a setting of boundaries. It's a really looking at this thing methodically and thoughtfully and taking a slower approach. Ceremony, ritual. All right, let's pull a card of guidance for you in November around this issue. What does Taurus need to know in November 2020? Some support for Taurus. Porcupine. I think this is defense. Let's read about it. Oh. Okay, gotta get my book here. Innocence. If you were to observe porcupine, you would immediately notice its quills. These quills are only used when trust has been broken between porcupine and another creature. Much like otter, porcupine is a gentle, loving creature and non-aggressive. When fear is not present, it is possible to feed a porcupine by hand and never get stuck by its quills. Through understanding the basic nature of this animal, you may come to understand your own need for trust and faith, and for becoming like a child again. In today's society, this is a needed reminder to honor the wonder of life and the appreciation of each new day as an adventure of discovery. Porcupine sat silently, looking at a hollow log. She wondered if it was a playhouse that nature had created just for her. Porcupine envisioned all the things she could do with the log. She could climb on top and make the log roll from side to side. She could go inside and see if there were any juicy worms for her dinner. She could also scratch her back on the rough outer bark if she wanted to. Just as Porcupine was pondering what to do next, she saw Bear approaching. Bear was big and black and looking for honey. "Oh, another playmate to share my log," she thought. "Hello, Bear," she cooed. "Do you want to play and share my log with me?" Gruff old Bear snorted. "Porcupine, don't you know that I'm too old to play? You're in my way. I'm looking for honey. Go away." Gruff old Bear snorted. "Porcupine, don't you know—" Oh, sorry. I just read that. "Why, Bear, you're never too old to play," she replied. If you forget what it was like to be a cub, you'll always be as impatient and gruff as you are now." Bear began to think about what Porcupine had said. Maybe she was right. All the other creatures had run away from Bear in fright. Even the bears had turned up their noses when he growled at them. This little porcupine was certainly trusting him not to eat her. She even offered to be his friend. The old bear looked at Porcupine and began to feel something move inside of him. He started to remember the games he had played as a cub. Ooh, this might be your solution. Play. This might be part of your solution. To free up that fear by playing, by engaging in some sort of play that connects you back to your childlike wonder and innocence. Okay, where was I? He started to remember the games he had played as a cub. Joy started to live in him again. Little Porcupine, you have reminded me that in becoming strong and seeking answers, I got caught in trying to be an intellectual. This is interesting. I became afraid of what others would think if I dropped my mask of gruffness. I was afraid they wouldn't take me seriously anymore. You've taught me that in being a fuddy-duddy, I was causing others not to care for me. Thank you. I'd love to play with this old log. So it's kind of funny. And so it was that Bear became childlike again and learned the innocence of Porcupine. In choosing the Porcupine card, you've given yourself a gentle reminder not to get caught in the chaos of the adult world where fear, greed, and suffering are commonplace. The medicine in this card is that of relief from seriousness and severity. Open your heart to those things that gave you joy as a child. Remember the preciousness of fantasy and imagination, and making of some game or toy from nothing but scraps. Honor the playfulness of spirit that lets everyone win. That's a cool little story. I get a sense that feeling very serious about this responsibility that you have in November. Here's the progression from past, present to future. How do I do this thing? How do I accomplish this thing? How do I approach this thing? The thing that I'm doing hasn't been working. Feeling very serious about your problem here and trying to find a different solution. This is a card of doing the same thing over and over again, achieving the same results while expecting different results. And what's needed is a reconnection to the things that brought you joy and wonder in your childhood, a reconnection to your inner child, a play, moving slower, taking some time, a thoughtful approach, right? Play, reconnecting with your inner child. Creating a space where you can ritualize or ceremonialize something, deciding who comes in and who stays out. And again, this is a slowing down so that you can really begin to approach this issue with more thoughtfulness. And inside of this approach is a victory, is a sense of accomplishment. It is a next leveling up, moving on to the next phase of development. Wow, Taurus. So I'm wishing you the best in November and in solving this issue that's up for you. I do get a sense that you will be successful with it, and there are some, several pieces of prescriptive advice that came through, which is the creating a space, slowing down, being more thoughtful, being more methodical in your approach, having some fun, reconnecting with yourself, with your inner child. If this reading resonates with you, please hit the like button so others can see it. Consider subscribing to my channel. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear how this is playing out for you or what you think about it in November. I'm wishing you the best. Take good care. Have a good one.